Spider's back for a big one here. You heard the news, the big announcement the CFL made, and what they call significant rule changes. And this session, Spider CFL Red Zone rule session, is the real reason they made these changes. Okay? So let's get into it right away. We'll go right into it, okay? Here we go. Here we go.
The overarching goals are pretty simple. It starts with entertainment. We are trading field goals for touchdowns. We're going to create more exciting plays, more exciting game calling, a more consistent game flow, and just an overall better experience for the fans. Moving the goalpost to the back of the end zone, it accomplishes so many objectives. First off, it opens up the field of play. Right now we're finding quarterbacks, they don't throw over the middle. They're throwing only to the sides. You know why? Because there's an obstruction in their way. We're removing the obstruction. Secondly, fans, they get to see the entire end zone. In the stands, at home, watching on TV, watching on your phone, you get a clear view of the most exciting piece of turf we own in our league, the end zones. Teams that are starting on their own 1 yard line, they've got more opportunity to use their entire playbook. They don't have an obstruction behind them. More touchdowns, less field goals, more exciting plays. So the Rouge is being modified. We're going to keep the Rouge. You will give up a single point if you get tackled in your end zone after a kick, or if you concede voluntarily by taking a knee. Now, what we have removed from the Rouge is a single point awarded for a missed field goal that goes through the back of the end zone, or a punt or a kickoff that goes through the back or the sides of the end zone. Whether it goes straight through or bounces in the end zone and goes through, there's no single point awarded. But finally, and most importantly, taking the point away for a missed field goal or a punt will encourage coaches to think about third down gambles when they're in the scoring zone of the 30 to the 50 yard line. And this, I think, is going to create many more exciting plays for our fans. We are shortening the end zone to 15 yards. First off, it's still a big end zone, the biggest in professional football. We still have a 65-yard wide field, encouraging wide open play that we've all come to love from the Canadian Football League. We wanted to shorten the end zone to protect the integrity of the field goal game. Putting it 20 yards back, that was pretty far to ask field goal kickers to kick versus where they are today. But that's not all. By taking 10 yards out of the middle of the field, we've now allowed teams who are starting drives on their own side of the 50 to essentially be 5 yards further away from field goal position, but 10 yards closer to a touchdown. What we're going for with game flow is to improve consistency. Right now we have a 20-second play clock. The referees, they are in charge of blowing it in once they've set the ball in the chains. This can lead to an inconsistent timing from play to play and obviously from game to game. We wanted something where every player, every coach, every fan is going to know what the maximum amount of time is between the end of one play and the start of another. So that 35-second clock is going to allow us to drive consistency, have an expectation from our fans, and improve play. We also want to make sure that every team has the ability to get their substitutions on and off now that we have an automatic clock. For those teams that currently have benches on the same side of the field, they are going to move to opposite sides, thus allowing substitutions, no matter where the ball is on the field of play, to happen in a much more efficient manner. The CFL is as Canadian as it gets. We are a Canadian institution, and our game rules prove it. We are a 3-down league. We have a 65-yard wide field. We have 12 players. We've got the waggle. These are the quintessential Canadian football elements. And so by changing field size and moving the goalposts, all we've done is create a better canvas for this great game to be played upon. This is about evolution. It's about taking a great game and making it even more entertaining, increasing touchdowns, perhaps at the expense of field goals, more exciting plays, perhaps more risk-taking, all of that wrapped in a package to take our great game and make it even better.
There you go. Well, as far as the modification of the Rouge, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, that's long overdue. That's been done a decade ago. Warning for failure? You're kidding me? missing a field goal or kicking it through, imagine, through the end zone for a single point. You could win a Grey Cup game. Imagine that way. There's been games in the CFL won mixed field goal for a single point, and the last second field goal, and they missed, and they won a single point if the game was tied. Imagine, kicking it through the end zone too. That's happened before. Well, same thing. You kick it through the end zone, or you kick it through the end zone and a field goal too. But anyway, you can't have a CFL team win a game on that part of the ruse. It's ridiculous. For failure, imagine winning a Grey Cup like that. It'd be an uproar. Anyway, as far as both teams on opposite sides of the field, that should have been done a long time ago. Now, the 35-second clock, because I'm going to go over these before I get into my session and why I believe they made these, the real reason they made these changes. 35-second clock I don't like, because Doug Flutie said in the NFL, and when he played college football in the NFL, he said you could actually, in the NFL, you could use the 40-second clock to win the game, but not even playing the game. 35-second clock, automatic clock in the CFL now, starting next year, by the way, and the single point for failure, and the rules modification is going to be implemented as well. Same as 35-second clock, and both teams on either side of the field, those three. And I'll get into the other major ones with the field size very shortly, but I just want to touch on the 35-second clock, like Doug Flutie said. And it's true. What about a 3-minute warning, right? I mean, you take kneel with your knee down, 35-second clock, like for plays and win the game. Don't even play the game. Same as Doug Flutie said. It's terrible. And there'd be less time, too. Like if you did 30-second clock, 35-second clock, they're going to use it to run out the time down the last second, so the other team hasn't got the time with possession of the ball to win the game. They're going to do the same thing, use the clock to try to win the game as well. I hate it. I bring back or whistle it in for the 20-second clock. There's more playing time, and in the 3 minutes, like it's fantastic the way it works with the 20-second clock, with the 3-minute warning, with the stop time. They get it all fucked up. It's like someone said on the CFL chatter, called Johnson knucklehead who should be fired. But he's just a puppet, and I'll get into that later. Okay, so let's get into the field size. Okay, are iconic, and this is what differentiates us from the NFL, makes us unique. Was the 55-yard line in the middle of the field, 10 yards in between the two 50s on either side, so it's 10 yards. So it goes 50, 55, 50. So there's 10 yards in there. That was iconic with our game, 3-down game. Gone. Because they're basically making it almost an American field except for the width and the end zones, and I'm going to get into it. Because they're moving the goalposts back to the end of the end zone, changing end zones to 15 rather than 20. Actually, I thought because of our 365 wide field with a 20-yard end zone, although it's great with the corner routes, that's what I like about it. But I thought maybe it'd be better to go 15 yards because there was so many fans that will watch the CFL for many reasons, because it's not 4 downs, and because the end zone's so big, it's too easy to get a touchdown with the 65 wide field. So I a couple times in my podcast said, well, then make it 15. So they did. Maybe they were listening. But anyway, but basically they Americanized the field. Basically close to an NFL field except for the width and the 15 yards in the end zone. But he said he did it because of moving the goalpost back to the end of the end zone, in the back of the end zone, and they thought, oh, it'd be too far for field goals to kick. Well, what makes our game so unique is the 55-yard line. So you mess with a game, and now it's American, basically, length, goal line to goal line, 100-yard. So they took out those 10 yards, and they took out 5 yards in each end zone. So it's now a 130-yard field versus a 150-yard field. Our field used to be 48% larger than an NFL field, if you do the math. Okay, 110 by 20-yard end zones, 65 wide versus 53 10-yard end zone and 100-yard length in the NFL field. So the math worked out to 48% larger CFL field. And now it's 33% larger. So it's still quite a bit larger, a third larger, but still they mess with our game because they're Americanizing the field. They really are. And you know, like the CFL are saying they're modernizing our game. No, they're not modernizing their game. And you know why they're changing the field size? I can tell you why. I can tell you why. And moving the goalposts back. This is unique for our Canadian game, 3-down game. I can tell you, yes, the pillars are in place. The main 65 wide, the waggle, yard off the ball, 12 men, and of course our 3 downs, motion, so forth. Okay, it's because 7 out of 9 teams are losing money. Who controls the CFL? TSN controls the CFL. Okay, and the Canadian Players Association with their ratio. And Canadian Players Association made up of mostly Canadian players. They have the majority of the vote, 665 votes. And I hope that changes. I'm going to get into that hopefully at the end of my session, what I think is coming next. But this is a phase 1 of phase 2. Remember, the collective bargaining agreement is over with TSN. I mean, the TV deal is over with TSN 26. So in 27, it'd be new TV deal. That's why Johnson's there. He's a perfect guy. He was president of TV program and marketing sales for TSN. He's a perfect guy. So he's basically a puppet for the owners, right? And I guess the owners asked him if you're open for change, and he said yes. So he's wasn't a Randy Ambrosie 2.0. But he's a puppet. The governors told him what they want, and he announced it. And they didn't go through the Canadian Players Association, which is a good thing. But still, they're Americanizing our field here are the reasons why they're doing it. Okay? Because if this doesn't work out, where 7 out of 9 teams are losing money, if they don't draw more attendance, more interest, the next move is 4 downs because they got the field in place. Okay? 100-yard NFL field. 15-yard, that could easily go to 10. They could easily go from 65 to 53. And then have NFL Canada. Okay? You know? Why Toronto, Vancouver, and maybe Montreal, that's not a big enough market. They can have the whole thing. The whole CFL. NFL Canada. Tell you, it'd be more lucrative too. It would be big. I'm telling you, money talks, and this is what the CFL is all about with the rule changes. They think they're going to generate more revenue. Right now they got a Mickey Mouse, CBS, hardly worth anything. I don't even think it's worth $150,000, maybe $200,000. But there was a survey done by ESPN that 10% of American people, that's over 30 million, our population, Canada's only 40, watch CFL football the way it is, with the rules the way they are, unique rules now without the changes. So it doesn't justify it, but there's other reasons too. USFL merge. The Rock, he's a billionaire. Got to remember, in the CFL you have 3 billionaires, okay? You have conglomerates, sports conglomerates. One owns the Ottawa Red Blacks, one owns the Toronto Argonauts. These Toronto Argonauts are owned by a conglomerate. They're worth billions. Same in Ottawa, that group that owns the Ottawa Red, they're worth billions. Bob Young's a billionaire. So money talks here. And they're tired of losing tens and tens of millions of dollars. That's why I think the next bomb is going to be the Canadian ratio. I'm going to get into that before the end of the session. And they also, like now they can, with the 100-yard field, and maybe St. Louis, if the USFL, they can make their field 65 wide. 15 yards they can do, another 5 yards in each end they can do, and they can have a 10th team in St. Louis. So even the Halifax Wanderers now, they can put that field in for football. But there's not enough room to build 24,000 seat stadium there. That's the problem. But they could, you know, there's lots of other places to build in Halifax, but it opens the doors up. It does. And the only bad thing about moving the goalpost back to the end of the end zone, you're not going to have any great. That's part of the CFL game, the special team, big missed field goals for big touchdown returns, like 120, 115, 110, 105, 100-yard returns, right, for missed field goals for touchdowns. You're not going to have that. You're going to have a lot less too now with the returns, because they'll be kicking for field position. And you know what? The commissioner said 60 more touchdowns. Are you kidding me? The only reason they said that because of my rule. It guarantees 50. It's not, theirs isn't guaranteed. It won't even come close to it. There'll be more kicking for field position in the corner. Be no returns. They fucked their game good. The special team game, punt returns for big touchdowns, if it's gone. Like it's gone. Missed field goal for a big touchdown return is gone. Anyway, I don't like removing our iconic 55-yard line. And by the way, why do you have to do that? All you got to do is move the punt when you're kicking. Okay, kicking the ball, move it back 10 yards. That's all you got to do. You don't have to take out the 10 yards. Oh, they think it's going to be more touchdowns. Well, you can't start at the 40 then. So you're going to have to make a lot of modifications. But yeah, they're saying no obstruction with the field goals in the back. The field's more open up. Well, the hash marks cause the problem. Narrow hash marks for that, right? Even made it even worse. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. But I think the main reasons is definitely because of money. Definitely because TSN is not going to renew the contract unless they wanted these changes made. And TSN basically are the CFL without their TV contract, and they only get 50 million, okay, versus billions in the NFL TV contracts. And the USL, now the USL, not the XFL, the USL, but it's Rock. He's a Canadian. He's a famous movie star and wrestler. He is a billionaire. He'd love to merge, but if they merge, they're going to go 4 downs. That's why they're setting the field up. They're not going to go 3 downs if they merge with the USL, the USFL. I think if they merge with the UFL, United Football League, that's the end of 3-down football in Canada, and that's the end of the CFL. Now there's rumors out there about labor laws that but the thing is that they can't change the Canadian ratio because the Canadian players will never approve it. But guess what? Say they merged, okay, with the UFL, Continental Football League, right? NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, they get Canadian teams, right? They're not forced to play all Canadian players in their respective Canadian professional sports franchise team. It would never fly. It would never fly anyway. You know why? The Canadian players, okay, there's 36 of them going to the NFL, playing in the NFL, and they want to go to the NFL more than the CFL players, the NFL players. You know why? The CFL players want to go to the NFL more than the NFL players that come up. You know why? Because they already tried the NFL, and they're pissed off. So the Canadian players, they want the 1-year contracts. They want the NFL window, which it's too big right now. They want that more than the American players that come up here. Seriously, they're a bunch of hypocrites, and they're holding us hostage really with this Canadian player, with the Canadian ratio, handcuffing, dictating Canadian ratio. It's got to go, and I think it's got to go next time. I really do. But anyway, another reason Canadian ratio has got to go. We just don't have the Canadian player supply. Look, there's no supply. They're all the best players are down in the NFL, 36 and counting, and they go every year, the training camps, okay? And they're signing them practice rosters, because the NFL practice roster is so big now. It's like 100 or something. I don't know. 100 with the practice roster. But the roster's huge. 90 to 100. And anyway, so the thing is, there's for one every good Canadian player, and there are some better Canadian receivers but a lot of Canadian linemen shouldn't be there, and a lot of Canadian players shouldn't be there. Half the team got to be Canadian, and 8 starters guaranteed. okay? There's out of one good Canadian player, there's 40 good American players. There's only 28 schools with 6 good college teams in Canada. There's 800 college teams down in the United States, and they have to pay the Canadian players more, even if they have no business being being on a CFL field, because of the Canadian ratio, the demand, because they got to fill it. Fill their half the roster's got to be Canadian, guaranteed. Half the roster ratio, Canadian. Say 8 starters now, not 7. 8 starters guaranteed. Okay. All right. That's the problem, and something's going to come down. Change it to Canadian, the Continental Football League. Okay, merge with the UFL, United Football League, or Rocks League, or just change the name. Change the name. Take the Canadian out of it, but they'd win in court anyway. They'll bring them down and lock them out. But that's coming. The Canadian ratio, they're going to get, the owners are going to want to make it where there's just 10 Canadian players probably that have to be on a Canadian a CFL team, and maybe, well, probably no starters. You have to make the team, and probably Canadian practice roster of 10 or something like 5 to 10. That's what's going to happen. Okay, I think that's what's coming. But these rules that they're saying that all the pillars are in place. You know, like the very important part of our game is all in place. 3 downs, the waggle, motion, 65-yard wide, yard off the ball, 12 players versus 11 in the NFL. Okay, that's fine and do it, but that's not the main reason why they're doing this. It's about money, and if it's not going to fly, they're going to go to 4 downs. And if they go to 4 downs, they're going to merge. If the UFL are still in business, they're going to merge. But it's never going to fly because no other league ever made it other than the NFL. So it's not going to fly. Although, if they went 4 downs and kept 65 wide, okay, with 12 men with a yard off a ball, the other CFL rules, okay, in a 15-yard end zone with waggle and motion, you never know. It could fly. But these are the main reasons, okay? These are the main reasons. And I'm just going to scan quickly because I did make some notes because I wanted to go over this, okay? And another thing about this too, what about all the college minor football and high school and flag football? Well, flag football is playing 4 down American football, and out in BC, the high schools are playing 4 down American football. But in all the rest of Canada, they're playing CFL 3 down football, and they have the CFL size field. Okay, 20-yard end zone, 65 wide, 110, 55-yard line. They have them all. That's high school, junior football too, and university football. So there you go. What are they going to do? That's a big problem. Who's paying for that? Are they going to switch or not? So I'm seeing if I covered everything. It's a lot to cover. But, you know, money talks, and we'll see what's going to happen. That's what I believe their motives are. And by the way, you know, all this could have been avoided. All they had to do is adopt my SPYDER CFL red zone rule. That's all they had to do is adopt it. Right there you go. Just adopt my SPYDER CFL red zone rule right there. And you know why? Because the 2 biggest killers of our CFL 3 down game are in the red zone. Okay? And by the way, my CFL red zone rule guarantees 18% of 50 more touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams. With my SPYDER CFL red zone rule enforcement, SPYDER CFL red zone rule in the red zone. Every time the CFL team, okay, is in the red zone, okay, and need a 3rd down to play an exciting CFL 3 down football. And if they maintain possession of the ball and they're not forced outside, they get SPYDER CFL red zone rule kick from the 42-yard line when you add the 7, okay, unless they turn the ball over, okay, and are not forced outside the red zone. Because you can't drive all the way down playing 2 down football and then play with my SPYDER CFL red zone rule and maintain possession and come up with no points in the CFL. Takes too much time off the clock, so the SPYDER CFL red zone rule kicks is very important. And I think what else is very, very important, why I'm right, that's all they had to do is adopt my CFL red zone rule, but they're not going to do that. It's not their baby because of ego, because they didn't come up with it. So they're trying to outdo me with this stupid nonsense, okay? Okay? Removing all our heritage and the tradition and our uniqueness of our game, 55-yard line to center, the goal line at the field goal post at the goal line, 20-yard end zones for the nice passing routes, okay? But here's the key. You know, my Spider CFL red zone rule wouldn't have to do any of that because it would have eliminated two biggest killers in the red zone and turnoffs. That's too many two-down football stops, resulting in too many easy chip shot field goals, non-eventful easy chip shot field goals. And by the way, 4 downs is too many downs in the red zone with 4-down football. The score touchdown makes it too easy. You know, it's a given. 2-down football in CFL, unless you're on the 1-yard line, okay, in the CFL, playing 2-down football, unless they go for it in the 1-yard line, that's the only time they do. They use the 3rd down. It's too few downs. By the way, the ideal amount of downs in the red zone to score a touchdown is 3 downs. And that's why my Spider CFL red zone rule is so powerful and is significant and will be the biggest rule ever adopted by the CFL because of what it does. Because it's the ideal amount of downs, 3 downs to score a touchdown in the red zone with my Spider CFL red zone rule, enforcement rule. And you can, that's it, would be a game changer, and you can take that to the bank. And that's the real truth. And that's why they didn't have to make any of these changes. All they had to do is adopt Spider CFL red zone rule, but they wouldn't do it because they're jealous and because it's not their baby and because of ego. And by the way, it guarantees 50.8% average touchdown scored amongst 9 CFL teams in the red zone. It guarantees that average percentage. It guarantees 50 more touchdowns scored in the red zone with Spider CFL red zone rule. Guaranteed, not like hypothetical, oh, it's going to be 60 more touchdowns. No, it's not. There's going to be more field goals and more like field position punts, okay, in the corner for field position. That's what it's going to be. Spider CFL red zone rule, and Spider's right, and the CFL are a joke.